What's up, Digidestins? This is Kyle D, better known as Rhyme Avatar, and today we're going to be asking the question, was BT7 too strong for its own good? So without further ado, let's dive into the video, and remember, hit that like button, hit the subscribe, support the channel as best you can. I also have a merch store. I just released a new Commandramon shirt, and I also released another Jessamon shirt. I have Gatomon and I have a Renamon on the way. So hopefully you guys enjoy the shirts. Definitely pick up one or two. And they're great gifts around for any Digimon fan. So without further ado, let's dive into the video and talk about it. So we know what a ban restriction list they've done. So Japan has hit quite a few cards. Yes. We've hit quite a few cards. And they've been hit because of BT7. And we've hit multiple cards in BT7. So it's starting to show it really was too strong for its own good. You know what I mean? Jet Sylphie was one of the cards that got hit. Which, yes, it needed to be hit. It was just determined to be really strong. There was no other reason you to play any other ultimates in the format. Tommy being able to strip all sources was ridiculous. Being able to then proceed to Digivolve into a Korikakumon, all of a sudden stunning your opponent and then shutting them off game really was annoying. It was too powerful for its own good. And then they just hit Dorogreymon for Japan. It's proving that they didn't like the protection and the extra security that can just get spammed in, and then you get to do like 4 to 3 checks in one turn by just one stack, depending on what you did for the evolution lineup. It gets ridiculous, and the self-protection was a little too much. I get it, but there is also bounce, which made it really weird because if there was still a way of removing it, it had only protection in 2 shapes, and then it still could die in battle. I mean, yes, Oryuken mode made it a little too powerful, so most security couldn't kill it. I get it. But at the same time, They just wanted probably to make sure that people wouldn't just swap right into this. Probably once, you know, you had times Shoutmon and then Shoutmon times 7 in the format. I think that was the reason they just didn't want Alphamon to keep it up. We had Mega Digion Fusion actually banned because of Suzanomon, which was a BT7 card. So the reason for that was because Yellow Hybrid would use this as getting this out by like turn 4. As long as you had the requirements, this card could come out early and then it just applies so much pressure. Mega Digimon Fusion was just ridiculous. The requirement wasn't too hard to achieve. And that's just really how that came down to. And it had to be banned because for future game design, nobody would have gotten off Hybrid. But then they force people off Hybrid anyway because they're like, yeah, we just can't have that. This card was banned because of Mother D Reaper. This card was hit because it was too good for its own self. You can see EX1 as well. And then you had Eismon Scatter Mode, and it was just way too easy to spam out these, get you a full board, and then Jagras into Chimeramon. Stuff like that really didn't want them to see a lot of players just achieve that kind of win strat. So I see where they were trying to nerf the decks, but if you look at it, there was 4 cards hit from BT7 alone. And then 1 card banned because of a BT7 card. So that's showing that BT7 was way too strong. And it was proven that then we had to move over to OTK format, which is very toxic in itself. I mean, if we take a look at it, I'm going to be quite honest with you. I will not be surprised if we see going into, if they ever do more related to Digimon of the hybrid persuasion, we're going to see more restrictions from the set. And I'm going to be quite honest with you, I wouldn't be surprised. So the reason why I'm bringing up this now is if we take into the account that there was a lot of cards in the set that was just way too good for its own good, we might see stuff like Avenge Kidmon, This card is really powerful, yes, because being able to recycle all your options back in Security Con. If Security Con gets broken, they might hit Avenged Kidmon to 1 and make it really hard for you to be able to get him in the first place. I feel like, yes, it was supposed to be the Bellastar negation counter, but now it's being abused in a different way that it wasn't really thought to do so. And that's really playing a big key factor in the role. So that's another card that could be on a chopping block later. Alderman, I'm going to be quite honest with you. I think any Digimon that's going to be able to Digivolve on the Ultimate line from the champion, if you have Tamer, Champion, Ultimate, I think this card is they're going to all be restricted to 1 eventually. And the reason for that is they're too fast. Especially because you start at 3, you instantly can just climb up way too quickly to 1 and then get to your Mega, especially depending on what the new Megas would do. Anything like that can just lead this into another restriction area. And especially since Alderman is very powerful in itself. I mean, just being able to shut off options as it's inheritable is really ridiculous. But it's not like it's completely broken right now, but it could become in the future depending on what future support. I don't see like them hitting the Megas, but I'll see definitely the Ultimate line and stuff like that. Like even taking a look at Korikakumon. Korikakumon being able to stun your opponents when they're Digivolving, if you Digivolve on top of a Tommy or you have a hybrid, might become an issue because it also, on top of a hybrid, after you do it, is a 1 cost. That now does way too much value there to your opponent, and being able to stun your opponent's stuff is ridiculous. Yes, we have counters now, but it can still become broken later. Beowulfmon, or Beowulfmon. So this card being able to Digivolve for 1, and then being able to bounce Ultimates, bounce champions and rookies back to hand is a little ridiculous. And we know that Bandai doesn't like to hit their super rares or their secrets. They won't touch these things with a 10-foot pole. Well, with this, it's something to think about because being able to bounce your opponent's field after you probably stun 1 Digimon and then go for another and then recycle a piece back, especially depends on what the next hybrid round of support becomes. If there are a bunch of 1 costs that Digivolve on top of hybrids on top of everything, we could see Beowulfmon become ridiculously strong. I mean, more targets to be able to cycle through, and even if any of those had inheritables that gave like a power boost, you would see a lot of players be annoyed because of it. We already know Jet Sylphie got hit by the act, so I don't see them doing anything more to Yellow Hybrid. Green Hybrid possibilities could be really they would probably hit Rhino, depending on what they do with the next wave. If we have an ancient Kabuterimon that's just a little too strong and it dominates the format, or we get an ancient Troymon that isn't as defensive as it was and it's more aggressive, we can definitely see Rhino being that too. So I could definitely see a restriction on that. Yes, do I think it needs a restriction? Possibly not. You do still pay for it and you're swinging in and stuff like that. It's not as bad, but I mean, it might not be Rhino though. I might talk about another card. There's nothing in black that they are going to hit after they hit the Duro Gray. I mean, if they really wanted to nerf Dark Knightmon, they could, but I don't see them doing that anytime soon. Purple. Purple is like the only deck I don't see them restricting anything anymore. They hit Eismon, and that was really the big go-to. Outside of that, Reihi's just too conditional because it's on deletion. Kaiser Leo doesn't even gain blocker to really do anything. It's just got retaliation. Possibly a Bokomon hit, just if they wanted to hit the consistency. But I could definitely see what they could do with JP is restrict JP for green if green gets out of hand, because for 1 cost evolve climbing, especially with the new Taiga coming in, we could see a lot of crazy shenanigans coming from that. So at the end of the day, I think we're really should be very nervous on what 7 brought to us, because at the end of the day, there's just so much power in their tamers, their options, their megas themselves. Their secrets were really powerful. I mean, I'm going to be honest with you. I think Ancient Evolution of Ancient is just a ticking time bomb. So, I mean, being a zero cost, being able to make any of your level 4s that evolve into their, 10 warriors equivalents, if they get a really powerful secondary go around, I wouldn't be surprised if it's nutty. I mean, we're going to see some crazy shenanigans coming from that. There's not a lot of other stuff I can see that's going crazy, but what did you guys think about, all the BT7 stuff? It feels like they jumped the shark on it. It was like, now there's no turning back. The power level was there. Yes, we just nerfed the daylights out of them, but now the power level was like, okay, hybrid is just annoying. Is like, I can't interact with your stuff. And I just got 1,000 breeding areas now that you have to now lose to. And then we go over to BT8. It's not as bad. It's still, hybrids are still dominating. And they're being annoying little shits because that's how that game wants to be. And they're just going to play it out how they want. So then we get to BT9, and it becomes OTK format with them nerfing, the Tommies and the Jet Sylphie. So now Yellow Hybrid is kind of out of the game plan, and it's just ridiculously weird. To say the least, actually, it's just, what are you going to do from here? I mean, there's going to be a lot of restrictions coming their way, and I wouldn't be surprised if we see a lot of bans too. So guys, what did you think of this video? Let me know down in the comments. Do you think BT7 was just that too powerful? And I hope to catch you in the next video. Peace!